inspired art. While many people might find writing the narrative intimidating, think of it as your moment to shine as an artist. I mean, this is the place where you get to tell them about why you and your project are so important and how they're in line with the funder's mission. All of this while following application instructions to the letter, of course.
Most grant application guidelines ask for a statement that includes most or all of the following: the purpose or objectives of your organization or project, what will you do and with whom, and for whom, its significance or contribution and why it's important, its methods or how and where you do what you do, your timeline or work plan, when it'll happen, your projected outcomes or dissemination plan. Some grant applications will ask for this information in a series of structured prompts, and for others, the guidelines are more general and flexible. Most will ask for this information in very clear language.
So you'll want to cut and paste the instructions and questions into a draft document. And one of the main secrets to grant writing is that you want to answer the questions in the plainest, most simple language that you can possibly use. And at your first draft, don't be concerned about style or transition between paragraphs. Just really focus on those questions and how to answer them in the easiest and simplest language possible, but answer them completely.
In terms of style, the way that you write your grant will tell the reviewers a lot about you. From reading your proposal, the reviewers will form an idea of who you are as an artist, an administrator, and as a person. They'll decide whether you're creative, logical, analytical, up-to-date in the field, and most importantly, capable of executing the proposed project. Your art-making discipline and its conventions will determine the general style of your writing, but also be sure to allow your own voice and personality to come through as well.
In regards to your audience, most grant programs have reviewers with a general knowledge of the disciplines or program areas of the grant. So when you're writing your grant proposals, you kind of want to be writing from a place of assuming that you're talking to a colleague who generally knows something about your area, but who doesn't know exactly what you are doing or what your organization is up to. And so those are the details that you really want to expressly say in your grant proposal. Most readers will not respond well to a poorly organized, poorly written, or confusing proposal. So try to give the readers what they want, clearly and concisely. I promise you, as somebody who's also sat on panels that have evaluated grant proposals, a short proposal that fulfills all the requirements is far stronger than a rambling narrative that likely even leaves out details. So just follow all the guidelines for the grant that you are applying for. And this may require you to reframe your organization or project in a different light or language. And I just want to touch base on that for a second, especially since earlier we were talking about how important it is that your project explicitly fit within the grant guidelines, and it absolutely is. But sometimes how you talk about your project might need to be framed differently depending on the funder and what they're invested in. And I'll just say that reframing your project to fit a specific grant's requirements is legitimate and necessary part of the process unless it changes your project's goals or outcomes. And if those changes are at the cost of your project's goals or outcomes, then again, they're not the right funder for your particular project. Final decisions about which proposals are funded often come down to whether the proposal convinces the reviewer that the organization or project is well planned and feasible, and whether the applicants themselves are the qualified people to execute it. So those are the things that you're essentially wanting to think about and prove throughout the proposal as you're writing it.
In terms of revising your proposal, you should plan to review and revise several times. Strong grant proposals take a long time to develop. They start the process early and leave time to get feedback from several readers on different drafts. Seek out a variety of readers, both specialists in your art area and non-specialist colleagues. Ask someone with good writing skills who knows nothing about your program or project to read your narrative and highlight anything that's confusing or repetitive or boring or appears to be inaccurate. Ask someone who knows grammar about the punctuation and spelling. If a granting agency lists criteria used for rating and evaluating proposals, be sure to share these with your reviewers. Review again and again, paying special attention to facts and figures. Highlight all the numbers and percentages throughout. Make sure that your math is correct and the data are accurate and consistent. Circulate the draft and ask for input from coworkers, board members, just as many people as you can. And incorporate those suggestions as appropriate and let the draft marinate a few days between each draft. Ask your readers to answer the following questions. Have I presented a compelling case? Does the project seem feasible? Is it overly ambitious? Does it have other weaknesses? Have I stated how I and funders will evaluate the success of the finished project?
Some final narrative writing tips that I would like to offer. Keep it active. Avoid using passive voice. And when I say that, I mean a passive voice would be a sentence like, the production was attended by over 1,000 people, instead of just stating that the active voice, over 1,000 people attended the production. And besides being engaging the reader more, the active voice, it also tends to be less wordy. And again, grant proposals should not be wordy. So make every word count. You're trying to convey the information clearly and succinctly. Respect the time and intelligence of the grant reviewer by being honest and making every word count. Always answer the questions. Make sure you have answered the questions asked to the best of your ability. And on the other side of that, don't provide information that the funder has not requested. Make your story interesting and compelling by putting a face on it, when possible. In many ways, grant writing is the art of storytelling. So think about the stories that you can share about yourself as an artist, your project, your organization, that funders can really connect with and become emotionally excited about.
Budgets. Budgets are nothing more than the numerical representation of the same story that you've told in your proposal's narrative. Your budget needs to tell the story of who, what, where, and how you will utilize those grant funds in the best possible way. Having a good grant budget plan will lead you to successfully meeting your project's goals and objectives. So the budget section is the backbone of the grant proposal. Some grant reviewers will turn right to the budget before even reading the proposal to see what the money will be used for. Program and project activities must drive the budget. The program narrative should match the budget perfectly. There shouldn't be any surprises in a budget. As you begin to develop a budget for your project grant application and put all the relevant costs down on paper, many questions may arise. However, knowing some basic principles of writing grants, such as how to present the cost of your project, can make writing a grant a lot less stressful.